Should we get controversial for
Yeah.
a second?
Oh, that's what I love it. Let's do it.
Essentially, what they are is potentially noxious substances or even poisons. And
I mean, it's really funny that you were spraying poison in my mouth. I was like, haha, I have no discernment. And really, I was Little Red Riding Hood.
when we say trust the science, like science is a method, it's never
Mhm.
done. Inquiry is always open. Hypotheses can be nullified or they
Mhm.
can't. But many people think that they're trusting science, but they're really trusting authority. There's a philosophy that's laid out that has 33 principles. The major premise says that a universal intelligence exists in all matter and continually gives to it all its properties and actions, thus maintaining it in existence. So that's like the
Am I a chiropractor now? I think
right.
guys, am I a chiropractor?
Hey guys, I'm Aubrey. On this show, we explore the intersection of mysticism, technology, art, and transpersonal experience. I'm an entrepreneur, author, and cosmic advisor, covering human consciousness and the larger forces shaping our collective destiny. Welcome to The Infinite Drop.
He's here.
Holy cow, it worked. All
Holy
right.
cow. Okay, I'm going to put my phone on D&D now. Hey guys, Dr. Paul is a chiropractor, author, and a mind body practitioner right here in Nashville, Tennessee. He's also served communities in San Diego and Peru. He has a background in physiology, biomechanics, and neuro-emotional technique, and brings a holistic lens to identifying sources of emotional stress that can result in physical pain. I met Dr. Paul recently when a neighbor referred me to him because of her great experience with NET or Neuro Emotional Technique. I was super surprised at how effective and thorough my first session was with him and totally geeked out on learning more about his approach that blends science, intuition, mind, body, and spirit. Dr. Paul, welcome to the Infinite Drop.
Thank you. It's awesome to be here. I'm
Yeah,
excited to chat with you.
me too. I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's you're like a wizard in your office." There were so many things going on. I was like, "This is my fantasy." Like, this is where I love to live, as like the healing space, learning about the mind, body, spirit connection. It's what most of the show is about. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
What
So
life's about.
it's what life's about, right? And I love that so many people are starting to kind of catch on to it. There's been obviously a lot of people before us that were really into it, but they might have been seen as like fringe or woo woo or a little bit out there. And it feels like all of a sudden there's like more momentum and it's like getting out there more and more. All the things we can do that are natural to support other things that we do to take care of ourselves. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it's a really exciting time. So I recently had a session with you, and the way we were connected was through a neighbor of mine. She was just going on and on about how unique your approach is to everything. And she shared a couple personal anecdotes, and we were just standing out there in the cul-de-sac, me, her, my sister, she's chatting, and she was so convincing. I was just like, hey, like text me the info to the office. Like, I just want to book. And I booked right there. And my sister's like, what are you going for? I was like, I don't know, but it sounds really cool. Sounds really cool. So I didn't have anything specific to work on per se, I thought. But as we're moving into like increased turmoil in the world, I'm doing all I can to make sure my vessel, my spirit, my mind, my body are just as clear as possible so that I can be an anchoring force in my own life, the people around me. So I went in, I really had no idea what to expect. I didn't really know what I was, what was going to happen.
Sure.
Yeah, so I was super surprised at how you started doing muscle testing. You were like asking questions of my body, basically, and then my body's responding. And then you were able to pinpoint a specific age in my life. And then from there, I went through like a whole journey, a whole experience of just having emotions come up. You had me in like different poses. At times, you'd spritz my tongue with the homeopathic spray to kind of balance things out. And the whole time, you were actually just talking to my body and asking questions. And then my muscular responses were what you took as the answers. So, I'd love to have you share more about this process that's called NET and
Sure.
let people know kind of what it is.
Sure. Well, we could describe it as a mind body technique or a system for finding and resolving unresolved stress or unresolved trauma. And these are essentially emotions, and the emotions are stored in the meridian system of the body. The Chinese and the traditional Chinese medicine people found this out, and they've been perfecting it for 3 to 5,000 years, depending on who you talk to, or I wasn't there. And they did a pretty good job of mapping out this meridian system and the emotions that lay within it. And then Dr. Walker, Scott Walker, is the kind of the genius that was able to put that together with some of the insights that we have from subluxation theory and chiropractic, D.D. Palmer's work, and also what we were learning about modern neuroscience and the brain. So he's kind of a big picture thinker. I try to follow at that pace, but it's hard for me. So it's nice when someone else has kind of mapped out the way. So I just kind of think of myself as a very good technician of his work. And obviously everyone will do it a little bit differently, because this is a technique that's available to anyone who can see patients. So therapists do this technique, acupuncturists do this technique, medical doctors do this technique, nurse practitioners do this technique. So, but they all might do it a little bit differently because we have different backgrounds, different skills, different understandings. Some are much better at biochemistry. Some are much better at intuition and getting the story down. So that's what NET is. And the one thing I would say is, it's, as you kind of experienced, it's pretty impossible to explain it.
Yeah.
It's something you have to experience, or I guess you don't have to, but it's something for you to understand it. and and it's different each time you experience it too. Um, we got into some heavy stuff with you, but they're not all that heavy.
kind of heavy, kind of crazy. I like came in smiling. I left you guys, my hair was like like a toddler scratches their hair up when they're playing. Like my hair was scratched up. I was a bit discombobulated. He had me sit in like, no bad. I didn't feel bad. I felt, just discombobulated. And then I sat in a chair afterwards to get grounded, which that chair was really cool. It kind of like lightly shocks you, but it feels good. I mean, I chose to have it up that high, but like it was pretty cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad you said that. You said it's hard. It's to understand it, you have to experience. You don't have to experience it, but to understand it, you'd need to, because what my neighbor explained was one thing. And so I knew about the muscle testing, and she was like
Mm-hmm.
explaining that part. So that made sense. And then a friend of mine has also gone to see you afterwards. She's in the healthcare space, health and wellness space. And she had a totally different experience than me and like had different things happen. But yeah, it was, I guess it felt on my end was like there was the charts and everything. So I could see the Chinese medicine meridians. You were explaining things. There's like this mental, physical, emotional, energetic, like all of them are at play. There can be chiropractic work. There can be like you doing your own poses or movements, like some like pressure points, acupuncture ish type things. So it really is
Mm-hmm.
this cool combo and then the homeopathy. So like spraying in the mouth. So um, I think there was one point it was really funny. You're like spraying my mouth. I'm like, I have no discernment. You could be like spraying anything in my mouth. I should have asked questions. I felt safe, but it was funny. So what was your path to doing this holistically and like approaching health in this way?
Yeah, I was raised very medical, just kind of standard medical model. We
Mhm.
just went to the medical doctor when we had a problem, and we do what they'd say. And yeah, that's kind of how we operated. And I had an injury in high school, at a football injury, and it was pretty bad neck injury, helmet to helmet contact. My head was like on my shoulder sideways. Emergency room, orthopedic referral. They wanted to put some rods in my neck and fuse it, and so I was kind of in a emergency crisis state. And one of the parents of the kids I played football with called me up at home, and he kind of had heard what had happened to me, and he was a chiropractor, and he said, "Hey, would you like another opinion?" And this was in the days when we had the landline, so I'm looking over at my parents and saying, "It's Daryl Starnes. He wants to know if I want another opinion for my neck." And they're like, "Say yes, say yes." um, so that, and within 2 weeks, I was playing football again. No surgery. So I feel like I had a
Whoa.
miracle from chiropractic, and I thought it was a miracle for like fixing spines and fixing neck pain, and because that's what it did to me. And then Like you had said, oh, it's so cool in your office. You're like the magician. It's like Hogwarts. That's how I felt when I went to chiropractic school. I was like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, this is magic. There's people doing all this different stuff. This is so cool. But I did stay really very much in the physical, the neurological, everything that we could explain with a mechanism made sense to me.
Mhm.
And I was okay with people doing things outside of what we could understand, but I just didn't feel comfortable kind of playing in those arenas. So that might be like the energetic stuff, chiropractic techniques like network spinal analysis, or even tonal approaches that kind of require more intuition and, yeah, just a softer touch, a gentler approach, that kind of thing. So results were pretty good seeing patients, but there was always some that didn't respond. And so it's kind of in seeking, I kind of, I guess, would get obsessed with the ones that didn't respond, but they looked just like the other ones that did respond. It looked like they
Mhm.
should have responded. And so I started looking for other things to help those people. In kind of all the journey of, I'll spare you all the journey of finding that, but there is this technique that in Southern California is fairly well known because that's where it developed, that's called Neuro-Emotional Technique. And I happened to meet the developer of that and went to a seminar and thought it was just too weird. And I'm like, I can't get behind that. I can't, no way could I do that. And so I left it alone for a year. And then I decided to go try it again, just at the same seminar up in LA. And I got it a little bit more the second time. I was like, okay, because there are a lot of pieces to it that there's like a specific mechanical flow to it, and it's a little bit complicated the first time you're learning it, and maybe even the first few times. So, and then, yeah, I suppose it just became, as I was trying it more and more with patients, I was finding I was able to help certain people that I couldn't have helped any other way. um, that I was running into brick walls with. And then when we deal with the emotions, it was like magic. So,
Mhm.
um, and then the more that I worked with NET, the more proficient I got at it, the more I started to put Scott Walker's science under the lens. I started to look at like what's really happening here.
Mhm.
And man, he really did a great job putting it together. It's really, really, I've never found anything more effective. So
Was part of that training that you were doing with Scott Walker, and he's the founder of NET. He's the one that it's a lot of systems that were already in play, but he sort of pulls things together in a unique way that's called NET. So
correct.
was there a part of this training, was there an intuition training? Do you have to train your intuition? Or because what we did in the session, it was physical and you were using, like you're like a medical person, but it seemed like you were using intuition too.
It's really, I wish that I had more intuition with it.
Hmm.
It's really a lot of pattern recognition.
Okay.
It's not. It's really. It's not really as mystical or magical as it might seem when it's
Hmm.
happening. You know, when you're
Hmm.
in the patient seat,
Hmm.
it seems very, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But there, yeah, there really is a, like, well, we're in the Wood Meridian, so we're going to test the 90% likelihood thing that it is, and we call those the 90 percenters. And if we're not, if it's not those, then we'll check the 10 percenters, and there it
Hmm.
is. And so it's really systematized.
Hmm.
There is a little bit of art, and the more like I have been practicing it for a number of years now, and I'm certainly much more proficient at it,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's not as intuitive. I mean, there are intuitive pieces to it, sure.
Gonna say, it seems like I'm hearing you, I believe you, you're the guy doing it, right? I have no idea, but I was like, there does seem like there was some intuition, just even, I mean, with the muscle testing, which I think I've had that done. I know I have, like maybe a couple times, maybe like twice or something, not very many. And I know that people do muscle testing for themselves, which I've tried to learn and practice. And I'm just like, I don't know. I've tried to do like a pendulum, I've tried to do muscle testing, and I can
Yeah,
never totally, I kind of get blurry lines on those. That's just not a method that I seem to have can really connect on. But when you were doing that, I mean, maybe there is like a, you're like, There is
It
some.
felt pretty obvious with you though, right?
Okay.
When we had a, don't you kind of remember how it
Oh
was
yeah.
like, oh, that's just like chunk.
Yeah, it's almost like my muscles got like it was interesting because you'd go to press, I could hold my hand straight, and then you'd press again and my arm would just be like so tired and go down. I would even be trying to like pull it up.
Yeah.
So,
So the muscle test is the biggest place where we could go wrong with NET. It's critical that we're doing it correctly to get feedback from the patient, not like put what we think is happening as the doctor.
yeah.
And we practice a lot with that. I try to check in with that daily. But it has been through, we have done studies in NET to scientifically validate this muscle
Mhm.
test. So we've peer reviewed studies that show that this can be reproduced and that it is showing us something. So the interpretation of it is potentially up for debate. But what we think is happening is when we get to a stimulus that we're not okay with, we're getting a kind of a lighting up of the brain centers called the amygdala and the limbic system. This is kind of the fear and danger centers, the emotional centers, and that potentially has a inhibitory effect to the muscles. So that would make any good strong orthopedic muscle go weaker.
Mm.
So it would require more energy or effort from the person to hold it at the same strength.
And just to have some clarity here, because I didn't totally explain this part of the session I had, when he's muscle testing, and if you're just listening and you're not watching the video this time, I've been putting my hand out and kind of moving it up and down, like pressing on it. And what was happening while we were doing this, it wasn't just he was pressing on my arm and I was trying to resist it. He would be saying things, saying like, is this in the bladder? Is this in this way? And he would just be asking. And then he would also be asking me. He's asking me, but I'm not answering. I'm not answering. My body and my muscles are responding. And he's taking that as the answer. So he would say, did this, is this from
Yes.
ages 24 to 30?
As long as you're listening, that's all we need,
Mhm.
so we call it a semantic challenge. So you're hearing the words
Mhm.
and your nervous system reacts to those words, or it
Mhm.
doesn't. But if it does, in theory it should be non-reactive, but when it's reactive, that means we're hot on the trail of the issue.
Yeah, yeah, because you were like, okay, ages, 12 to 14, ages, and then you're like, age 11, and it was like, boom, you're like, okay, age 11. And then I was like, I don't remember anything from that. And then you have a series of questions, and I'm pressing on pressure points on my wrist and leaning my head down. And then pretty soon, the story, just the medical story, the emotional story starts unraveling. And then we can
Mhm.
see where things just need to be explored more that would offer like emotional stress relief or release. So that's how my session went.
Yeah, so essentially we're trying to get to a bad feeling,
Hmm.
and the bad feeling is the cure, and then we support it with a specific posture and potentially different acupuncture meridian
Hmm.
access points. So what we have, you feel it while you hold the points until it goes away.
Yeah. Yeah. So, would you say that in your day to day life, would you say that you're someone who um, is into like the spiritual realm? Are you like religious or spiritual, or do you believe in sort of things that you can't really test in the physical realm, or is that sort of something that's not on your radar?
Yeah, I would say that I am spiritual. I struggle with religion. I was raised Catholic, and I did pretty good with that till I started asking too many questions and
Yeah. Yeah.
frustrated the teachers and the
Mhm.
so then I went through a period of kind of atheism, agnosticism. I went to
Mhm.
Catholic college and kind of became an agnostic. And then I went to chiropractic school, and chiropractic has a philosophy that is just epically spiritual and beautiful. And that was a window back into my spiritual self. I think it was just maybe a safer place to explore it, a less dogmatically positioned
Yeah.
place to explore it. I don't know. For whatever reason, it resonated with me better. And but yes, there's a philosophy that's laid out that has 33 principles. The major premise says that a universal intelligence exists in all matter and continually gives to it all its properties and actions, thus maintaining it in existence. So that's like the
Am I a chiropractor now? I think I'm
right.
guys, am I a chiropractor?
Yeah.
Wow, this
So
is so cool. I had no idea.
yeah. So that I would say opened the window for me, and then I would say I would describe myself as a Christian now.
Mhm.
So um, probably I don't know. It's kind of personal, but I still always struggled with I didn't really see what the big deal was with Christianity. I was kind of
Mhm.
like, well,
Mhm.
why Jesus? Why not Buddha or someone else? It's been a lot of sages and people that have had other people follow them, and how do we know
Mhm.
who's right? But couple of reasons kept me maybe open to Christianity. My sister sent me a book that I sat on the shelf for years, but then I picked it up one day because I just love to read books. And I'm even going to try to remember the name. I want to say it was something about a guru. It was maybe the last guru, or I'll look it up and I'll text you. But it was about a boy and then his dad was like a spiritual guru in
Mhm.
India, and then he was kind of on that path, and then he fumbled his way into Christianity and had his life saved multiple times by Jesus. And in reading that, I was kind of just like, you know that's I feel something with that, like there's something powerful here. And
Mhm.
I still wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm going to witness and testify and
Yeah.
evangelize. But I was like, I could be open to that. That's kind of what I said. And then we have kids too. So, in having kids, I think about how are we going to give them good values? How are we going to teach them? Like, I know what I was raised with, but if I don't embrace this tradition, how am I going to make sure that we get them some tried and true, proven tradition? And I said, well, Christianity is the one that I know that produces some results, some predictable, measurable results. So that's where I maybe got a little bit more okay with the traditions and the religious side, just the act of we go to church, or we go worship, or we say grace, or those kind of things. Um, so I guess this has been a kind of an unfolding of my
Mhm.
openness to different pieces of it. And then I really liked something that Jordan Peterson said once. Somebody asked him, "How do you know that this stuff's true? How do you know
Yeah.
that?" And he said, "I don't." He's like, I just think it's better to act like it is, and then we'll see at the end."
Yeah. Thank you for
So
sharing that. I thank you for sharing. I know that can sometimes be personal for people to share. Yeah, in my group, I have a wonderful group of friends. Everyone's pretty deep in the sauce in the spiritual world and the natural healing space and all of that. And I can like clearly say I think I'm like the most, I would say, non love and light person in the group. I mean, if you listen to some of my episodes, I'm like, we're AI. This is all bullshit. What? This is so, like, this is so fucked. Like,
we're in the Matrix.
I'm like, dude, wake up. It's clear. We're in the Matrix. And everybody's like, chill. No, but they're right. The way they think about things, the way they frame things, it's like it's going to be the same thing. Like our lives are our lives and the situations we deal with are the situations we deal with. And it is easier. And I'm not always like, we're fucked. That's not how I am. But I do tend towards that way. When things are bad, I'm like, this is absolutely ridiculous that we're here on this prison planet. And they pull me back to things that feel better. And I think I am moving in the direction of being more of that just by being around their example, because it's like, yeah, who cares if it's not real? Who cares if we are in the Matrix and then you die and you wake up or nothing? Why do I want to feel that or talk about it or express it so much? Because it's just going to make me feel not that great while I am here.
Right.
And so why not believe in something? So I was raised Catholic, but I'd call it very Catholic light. It was like that's what my whole family did. We went to church sometimes, but then we stopped when I was really young.
I
I
was
didn't.
full Catholic. Like
Okay, you were full.
we didn't miss a mass,
Okay.
double Catholic.
Okay. So yeah, yeah, double Catholic. So I went to Catholic schools, and but it was very, I look at like what those schools are like today, and just, and maybe it was my community, I can't speak for everyone, but it was very Catholic light. Let's put it that way. The parents, the kids, like there was a lot of public school stuff happening at our Catholic school. So it wasn't, I didn't really feel that. And now as an adult, both of my sisters are Catholics, and they go to church and they do all the things. And their kids will say things, or they'll say, we're celebrating this. I'm like, I've never even heard of this. Like there are basic things I've never heard of. I never read the Bible. So I was raised with that foundation as well. But clearly it sounds like is a different scenario with how you were raised, like more like in the zone with it. And then I just started getting into yoga and meditation and reading all these spiritual books and just going to workshops. It's just, I've been obsessed with it kind of my whole life. I definitely have explored like a lot of different realms. And I think it's really fascinating right now how so many people are coming back, at least here in the United States, right? I'll speak to people that listen here in our country. I don't know about everywhere else, but here in the US, a lot of people are starting to explore or be curious about or identify as Christians. It's just like this really big coming around, it almost feels like, because we are a country who, at the base, we are a Christian country. That's how we were founded. And it's really interesting just feeling that and sensing that. And one of the areas that I'm most fascinated with, that I've studied the most, that I have the most sort of like education around, would be astrology. And if you look at the astrology of the times we're living through, one of the best astrologers in the world, he's also a friend of mine, David Palmer, the Leo King, he has been predicting since like 2017. He'd give lectures everywhere, and he said there's going to be a mass return to Christianity, and we're going to have what look like the Crusades again, and we see all the wars right now happening all over the world, and these religions and these ideologies becoming so big. But you can look at the astrological cycles and you can tell when this will happen. He's also the only person that I'm aware of on planet Earth who predicted exactly who the next pope would be. He went back and he said, look, we had a pope die in this cycle last time, died here. These are the indicators. He went and looked at the charts for all the people that were up for it. And he's like, it's the Chicago guy. And I mean, not even like the people in the church who could predict it. So he's like, you just
Wow.
look, yeah, there's a math to this. There's a science. I think it's really fascinating just how this is all coming back around. And for me, if I take away all of the sort of parameters or the things that I feel can be a bit stringent or unnecessary, when I get to the core of it, I'm like, gosh, Jesus seems like a really great guy, just like Buddha and just like Gandhi and these other people. It's like, seems like a pretty great guy. Like he's saying some pretty legit things. And if people want to go sing and feel good on a Sunday and hang out with other families and friends, like, why not? Like, why not? I think it's a great thing. So I asked that question not just to ask it, but it's because I know that I not know, I read that at some point in your journey you were part of a healing center in Peru. And so I'd love to learn. I thought that the answer might tie into that, and maybe it does. I don't know, but I kind of would love to know what your experience was all about down there, and if there's anything you learned that you have taken back and incorporated and that you apply in your practice today in Tennessee.
Good question. So that was right out of chiropractic school. I really had a strong desire to leave the United States. I felt really compelled to do this. Like this was um, and part of it was I described how it felt when I got to chiropractic school. Hogwarts, magic. This is so amazing. I just like, I'd wake up every day thinking about what I got to learn and what I got to do today, and just head would hit the pillow and I'd be stoked to do it again. And then about the last year of chiropractic school, it changes a little. You're working longer hours, you're seeing patients and going to school full time. Probably 7 till 8 o'clock at night, Monday through. They're long hours, long days, but there's also a lot of fear and kind of how to not get sued, how to cover your ass, how to, just document, and there's also a lot of pathology in the end of chiropractic school. So you're just learning about all these obscure diseases so that you can pass your board exams. So it became not fun in the last year. I was like, this is terrible. And I really wanted to see what could happen when we just do chiropractic, but we don't have to worry about insurance and getting sued and those kind of things. Like, what happens if we just show up with an open heart and the skills that we bring to the table and serve people? And I felt like I couldn't do that here. So I had a good friend and his wife who were also on board with this. And I invited my girlfriend at the time to come with me. She said, hell no. But she said, you go do it. um, and
I did not expect that. I was like, oh, that's great. She was like, no.
yeah, and I kind of knew that she wouldn't come, but I had to ask. So, and then they went 3 months ahead of me. They graduated 3 months ahead of me, so they went down there, and I got there the day the doors opened up. So they checked out a couple of different countries and a couple of different cities, and I had been down there to the city we practiced in, Arequipa, before, and I told them, hey, I think this is a really cool city. See what you think. It's up in the mountains in Peru. It's the second largest city there, very old. It's like 1500s it was founded. And yeah, so I got to show up, doors opened. We worked really hard. I think we calculated that we handed out 100,000 flyers.
Wow. Was
So
it
that
like,
that was
was it locals and tourists and expats? Was it a whole
it.
mix of
It
people?
was mostly locals. Every once in a while, we get an expat or somebody traveling through who wanted a chiropractor. But
Mhm.
it was a city of about 1 million people, and I think there was 6 chiropractors in there when we showed up. So there's three plus we brought three, so we doubled the chiropractors there.
Mhm.
And yeah, we just got a tiny little space and we filled it up really quickly, and we were doing really great things. I think fun stuff was happening, miracles were happening with patients. We were learning. I had to learn how to speak Spanish, so
Yeah.
I had a tutor down there. But then that girlfriend that I invited, I missed her, and it kind of became apparent like you need to go chase her or you need to let her go. And
Mhm.
I told my business partners, I was like, I can't stay, guys, I gotta go. So I came back to the States and they ended up leaving as well. We ended up turning that over to a local chiropractor there and a friend who moved up there to run our clinic. And skills wise, I don't know that I brought a whole lot back other than a year of experience of putting your hands on people
Mhm.
and working with a different culture, being a minority, maybe.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, those kind of things, dealing with governments that are hard to deal with, bureaucracies and things like that.
When were you living down there? Like around what time?
That would have been 2010. Yeah.
Yeah. I've always wanted to go to Peru. I was actually supposed to be there in March of 2020. I was on a around the world trip from like November 2019, gone over to Asia. I was popping all around, and then I'd flown from Tokyo to Mexico City in February 2020. President Trump had said come home once. I ignored it. And then I'm in Mexico City about to go to Peru. Both of my sisters and a best friend from San Diego had flown down. It was my birthday. We were doing a Mexico City thing. He came on TV and said, come home again. They were like, you should really come home after this. Like, probably you should come home. And I'm really glad I ended up saying, okay, I'll go back to LA and sit this out for the 2 weeks and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
It was all, of course, we know what happened. But,
Yeah.
and my listeners know I'd love to go on a tangent on this one, but I will hold back. Not the point. Not the
Rein it in. Rein it in.
not the place, not the time. But I went back and then I'm so glad I did because I feel like, if I'm remembering correctly, I feel like Peru was one of the most locked down places. I feel like they sealed that place up. And I remember hearing stories. I'm pretty sure it was Peru, you guys, where it was like you could not get, like, people were there for a year. It was like, you're not getting out. So I could have been. speaking Spanish and like partly Peruvian by the end of things. Who knows what would have happened?
Yeah. I think it was probably good to be out of there. I think that was a good intuition and listening to.
Yeah, yeah,
I did
totally.
hear it was not great there.
Yeah, that was what I caught wind of. I was like, yeah, I'm glad I
Yeah.
went back. And what's interesting for Peru, and I still need to get there. So, have you heard of the practice of astrocartography?
I maybe, I don't know.
So it's two words.
Catch me up.
Yeah, so it's astrology and cartography, the study of maps put together.
Okay.
And it's a whole field. It's quite fascinating. I have a great guy if you ever want a reading. I've been to a few experts, and this guy's the most legit. Shout out Astrophil in Kentucky. You are the most legit. Um, but what happens is they take your birth chart and then line it up with latitudes and longitudes all over the world. And in different places, you're affected by different energies.
Yeah, I used to have an astrologer that we would see, and I believe that was part of her practice. She's like, "This is not a good city for you right now," or "This
Yeah.
is a great place for you," or "This is an okay place for this to happen."
Yeah, depending on the goals. It's like if you have a health
Right.
goal or a relationship goal or work goal, and you can get really specific. Like Astrophil can like super dial in on things where it's like kind of eerily accurate. So I wasn't aware of this like my whole life. But what's really cool is looking back and looking at the places where I've just naturally been drawn to or that I go to on vacation or that I've moved to, places where I just feel like, God, I love it here, or God, I don't like this city at all. And I look back and like the tiniest, most little remote places, like there's this island in southern Thailand. And I mean, when I am there, I'm like, this is absolute heaven. It's hard not to feel like you're in heaven in southern Thailand, but not all islands. I don't feel that everywhere. It's just this one little tiny place. And I was like, I wonder where. I looked it up on my map, and there's like this beautiful, like Jupiter ascendant, like flowing through. I mean, there's just it can't get better. It's like you feel great, people are attracted to you, you're happy. It's like just the happiness. And then I go to like places where I've lived where I'm like, that place was awful. And it's a really I don't have good influences there astrologically. And I bring this long tangent all up because there's this like running joke with me and my friends and my astrologers. My astrocartography is horrific for romantic relationships. Like most people have their Venus lines like running through it's at least running through land masses. Let's say that. All of my lines for relationship, like I've had astrocartographers be like, this isn't great. My lines run through the deep tundra of China and Russia where no one lives. Literally, it's like all the points come together. It's like your happiness. I'm like, there's no one even here. So they run through the middle of the ocean, the middle of nowhere, not even near land masses, but one of those lines cuts through this little sliver and it goes through right through like Lake Atlan, just I think north of Guatemala City in Guatemala.
Okay.
It's like a healing spiritual lake. I'm like, okay, that could be the one there. And then I think it's like by Lima, Peru, and a lot of it goes through
Okay.
Peru. So I've always been like, I want to go down there and check it out, like see if I meet someone, see if it's like a good vibe down there. Because I'm like, I'm totally like, there's nowhere else to go except this like tiny little place on Earth. And then of course COVID came through, and right before my flight, it's like the
Like, nope.
yeah, the scene in the theater where they put the hook out and like yank you off the stage. It's like
Right.
you're out of here. So I have is this going to be a good question? Um I'm going to skip that one and come back to it if we kind of weave back. But I want to jump now. I want to learn more about those homeopathic sprays that I talked about earlier when I was like, am I even being discerning? You had these spritzes and they just tasted like water to me, but you would
Yep.
spray different ones in my mouth at different times. And it seemed like you were balancing or doing something. And then I actually purchased a couple of them to come home, and I've been spraying them in my mouth in the day. And I don't feel anything at all. They taste like water. So maybe you could explain that a little bit.
Sure. So, homeopathy is really a whole field of healing in and of itself, and it is very similar to NET, actually. So, let me kind of draw a similarity. But people ask me what's in there, and It's a difficult question because if you look on the back, there's a list of ingredients, and most of them don't mean much to
Uh,
anyone who reads them. But essentially what they are is potentially noxious substances or even poisons.
I
And
definitely should. I'm like laughing, and the killer is right here, you guys.
so, yeah. So sometimes if I think I can get away with this joke, I'll say it's poison. If people ask me what's in it. Um, and it's very, but what they do with the poison is they make a tea out of it and then they dilute it 10 parts water to 1 part poison. And then they take the dilution and they dilute that 10 parts water to 1 part diluted dilution. And then they dilute that dilution. And so the chemistry of the dilution or of the substance becomes much less pronounced, but the energetics of the solution become much increased. So the more times you dilute a homeopathic remedy, the stronger it's thought to be homeopathically, but the weaker it gets chemically. And usually by the time we're calling them using them as like therapeutic homeopathics, they're chemically inert. They can't do anything chemically, but they do carry a message, basically a vibration, and that signal is carried within the water molecule and it's delivered to the cells of the living being. Really, so it's a signal and it's really reminding your body. We think about it like body memory. So your body already knows how to heal itself. It already knows how to fix itself. But here we are sitting here with all these aches and pains and unhealed trauma and emotions and things like that. So the question, if it's true that we do know how to heal ourselves, well, then why aren't we doing it?
Yeah.
Why is it taking so long?
It's so wow. Okay, that was not what I thought the answer was going to be. I thought it would be like herbs and and maybe there's some of that in there, but that's not really what I expected. And very cool. Um, the gosh, I had like three thoughts. Hopefully, I can hold on to all of them. But the first one was really about the idea of introducing like memory to water, like the memory of something into water. And then I'm thinking about all those experiments and like proven now that water holds memory and it can hold energy and you can affect the property of water by
Yeah.
energies. And it sort of, you didn't say this, I'm kind of making this connection here, but I'm thinking about like Peru and all of the plant medicines that are administered there in Peru to help people with addiction and physical pains, emotional pains, sometimes spiritual pains or attachments or lineage issues that seem to be really well resolved by certain shamans there and certain groups with the plants that they put together. And a lot of those plants, they are poison to the body. They're a medicine, but you have to take a poison, and that poison feels like it kind of goes in and maybe goes to war with or clears out things that are dark. It's like introducing a poison. Let's call it a poison to go in and work with another poison to either balance it out, neutralize it, or have it leave. And so I mean, it's really funny that you were spraying, quote unquote. I'm doing air quotes, you guys, but like poison in my mouth. I was like, haha, I have no discernment. And really, I was Little Red Riding Hood, like, ha ha ha, and getting poison sprayed in my mouth. I like this idea, though, that you can sort of dilute it down, but the memory stays. And that's just so in line with what I've experienced in my life and what I believe and many other people believe, which is that, even if we can't see energy or detect it or feel it or even can't be measured, properties still are retained and held by substances. And if you are aware of how that works, that chemistry works and that energy work, happens, you're
Hmm.
able to use it. So, because it was cool, like you were spritzing it in my mouth. Again, I could feel that you were doing it, but I couldn't taste it. I didn't notice a difference in me. But you would muscle test, and then my muscles would respond differently
Hmm.
based on that. And you weren't even saying to me, like, oh, this is XYZ or this is this. So my brain didn't even hear that. I just think that's so fascinating. And it just um I just love that we're at a place now where we're here in Tennessee, like the Nashville area, and this is a more conservative area, although honestly it just feels like middle of the road to me. Nashville feels very middle of the road. People say conservative, but I think those words are changing quickly with everything that's happening?
Taxes are still too high. It's better than California and New York and
Mm-hmm.
Chicago, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we could still use less.
We could use a lot yet, a lot less. Yeah. And I just think it's cool that there's, a chiropractor, a doctor, and people go to you for like real things like, injuries and pain, and they come to you and part of your, not the whole thing, right? You're doing all different modalities and things mixed together, but part of that practice is using the memory of these substances, these plants that were poison. It's cool to me.
Yeah, and you came in without a lot of aches and pains, which is
Yeah.
always really fun actually to work on a patient who's pretty well put together.
Mhm.
Because sometimes people come in and they're just a mess. But both homeopathy and NET could be solutions to a number of physical ailments. So like if you were to have come in with that, we might have used homeopathy and you might have seen it lower a symptom dramatically. I've had people go from 9 out of 10 pain to 0 out of 10 in about 5 seconds after a homeopathic
Mm.
remedy. It's pretty
It's pretty
amazing
wild.
when something like that happens.
That's something we actually haven't chatted about, but I saw on the wall and you explained it in the home run theory that we went through with the four
Yeah,
areas. But because my brain jumps to that because I think of like environmental toxins like mold or other things. And so maybe like spritzing that, I'm not, you can explain more, but it seems like that could almost like attack to maybe an environmental poison and like negate it or neutralize it.
absolutely. It's really homeopathy is the answer when the home run formula suggests toxicity. So to me, it is the best tool we have to deal with toxicity. And we
Wow.
live in an increasingly toxic world.
Yeah.
So homeopathy, I think, is going to become more and more important to help as a tool to help us deal with this toxicity.
And as more people just become aware of like plant medicine, and that doesn't just mean ayahuasca, there's many plants that can be medicine, like people in my grandparents' generation, a lot of them knew how to use herbs and plants to heal the way food is healing. So, and then of course, their grandparents and their parents for sure were using that. We're starting to have more, I guess, infiltration using like the technology of plants, the energy of plants, even if they're diluted down to what you talked about. I think it's really cool that people are becoming more aware of that and that it's being used in more ways, like at a chiropractic office.
You want, should we get controversial for
Yeah.
a second?
Oh, that's what I'd love it. Let's do it. Let's
Okay,
go. This is my
so
favorite thing.
just on that statement you said, like, I agree, plant medicine can be amazing, but it can also be dangerous. We have that's actually one of the things I love about homeopathy is that it's not dangerous. It's either inert or it's very helpful, but it doesn't really have a downside. Whereas, medicine in general is quite dangerous. We might take a medication because we need it or we think we need it or our doctor thinks we need it, but there's always a consequence with the medication. Some good, some bad. But there's usually a physiological change that happens in the body. Same thing happens with plant medicine. There are both good and bad effects. There's usually we usually take it for like a targeted mechanism, hopefully. But if we get the dose wrong or don't know the unintended consequences, we can have problems with that plant medicine. So, or regular medicine, any medicine.
I'm really glad you brought that up. I have a friend and she's a facilitator in that space. And her number one thing she vocalizes this is your psyche. And we have to be like extremely careful with it. So,
So one of the ways that we get some of the results with our patients is we actually caution them to get away from plants. Is this wild for you?
oh no, well, because they're allergic to them, I would guess.
Yeah, or they have sensitivities, or we don't know what the plants are doing. I
Mhm.
would look at all plants are bioactive and they don't want to be eaten for the most part.
I
Um,
didn't think about that. Oh my gosh. I've never thought of
so
you're like,
plants
hey,
have their
yes, they hate you. They're
they
trying
have
to
their own
poison you.
consciousness and they're trying to kill you. They're really more like libertarians. So they're not coming after you, but if you fuck with them, sorry, I probably can't say that. If you mess with
You
them,
can say whatever you want. This is my
you're going to
favorite.
get the horns. So they're bringing their
Oh
defense
my
chemicals to
God.
you.
Wow. Okay. I've never even like thought of that.
And a lot of the reasons why they have medicinal properties are
Mm,
because the way that they're trying to poison us causes some physiological effect in the body. So they're targeting something in our body to try to get us to stop eating them. But when we dose it just right, boil it down, prepare it, we can use it like a pharmacist to do something else.
Which makes so much sense if you think about a lot of the effects of plant medicine. It's like, whoa. It's like, you're about to die, bruh. Like, you're about
Yeah,
to
you
die.
you are getting as close as you can to the other side without actually stepping in.
Okay, this is awesomely awesome. Like my brain is now like, whoa, when I think about it so differently. Man, life is so weird. It's like we're not supposed to eat plants. We're not I'm not that we're not supposed to, but like plants are living things, animals are living things, like but we need to eat them to live, but then that's not cool. And then like what's
It's
feeding on us?
something. Here's a reality that we ought to get okay with.
Mm.
In the NET world, we try to get okay with reality. So even if it hurts, we don't have to
Mhm.
like it, but we just try to get okay with it.
Mhm.
And something has to die for you to live. Um, that's just reality. Like so,
Mhm.
because we can't photosynthesize 100% of our energy
Mhm.
that we know of. Some people have claimed to. Uh, I don't know if I believe them,
Yeah.
but that'd be cool if we could. But most people still need to eat, and then they got to eat something that was alive at some point. So
Yeah. Man. Everything's so connected. We know that. It's kind of a basic trope, but like
yeah,
when you just start to think about how interconnected everything is, it's really fascinating. I have a beautiful park right by my home, and there's certain times of the year when it just gets it's a preserved area and they really just let the wildflowers and everything go. It's absolutely stunning. And just to walk through it, I mean, the flowers and the stalks are taller than me and like taller than a lot of people. And I was there a couple weeks ago and it was really like going all out full bloom. And there were bird watchers and it was really busy super early in the morning. And I take my shoes off when I get there to the trails because they're all dirt and soil. So I'm barefoot. It's beautiful. I'm walking. And I stop by the whole thing is plants, but I stop and turn and I was like, whoa, there were so many beautiful insects. And I turned and they were everywhere. And I had been walking for like probably half a mile at that point, maybe a little bit longer. I turned around, I was like, how have I not seen? And I zoomed in and just this one little, it was like kind of like being in Jurassic Park, where I was like, whoa, like, how did I not see this? And just the most beautiful, like winged little creatures and things that blended in. And there were beautiful butterflies and birds. I was like, holy smokes, like all and then it was kind of gross. I was barefoot. I passed like a little dead field mouse. I was like, oh, so gross. But like all his little mouse, he got taken out by something, in the night. And um yeah, it's so wild. And I'm like, dang, this is gonna fall down. And like, where do all these little buddies go? Like, where are they going? And just looking at all of them doing their jobs, these huge bees, and they were landing on I was sitting there watching, they're like, going into the what's it called, the pistil of the flowers, and they're like doing their thing. And yeah, and then I think about, man, sometimes you have to squish a bug. It's like, well, maybe it was helping, like it's in my house, maybe it's eating something in my house that I don't, something invisible. I don't know.
yeah. I draw the line in the house. I like to get
Mhm.
them out.
I do too, but sometimes I'm like, the door's already open, it's nice out. I'm like, I'll scoop you out and get you back out
Yeah,
in the yard. Like, go back out in the yard. Not
that's very
always.
kind of you. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's not 100% practice. I'm not like, but I do it from time to time. It just depends on how I feel. So,
yeah.
um, I wanted to ask you, is there a like you see a lot of people, you see athletes, parents, you see kids too,
Hmm.
athletes, parents, kids, entrepreneurs, people with injuries. Would you say right now, is there a common thread in people come in, they have all different things going on? Is there sort of like you like track back down to a root cause? Is there something that's more common or is it just different for everybody?
Well, I getting back to D.D. Palmer, the developer, the
Mhm.
founder of chiropractic. He said all subluxations are caused by three things: thoughts, traumas, and toxins. And a subluxation is essentially a misaligned vertebra, or let's call it a aberration of normal communication in the body. Subluxations are always present with pathology, and they will eventually cause pathology of the end organ. So I think I always am boiling it down to those three. Those are the three causal factors: thoughts, traumas, and toxins. And trauma, we could say he was talking about physical trauma.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, like a car wreck or like your sports
yeah,
injury or okay.
yeah. So he would put emotional trauma in the thoughts category. But trauma can be emotional and it can be physical and it can be chemical.
Mhm.
Go have 17 beers at night and see how your body feels the next day. It's
Yeah. I'm really glad
it's
I'm really glad that, on that note, I'm really glad that drinking is on such a major decline in the United States. It might be worldwide, but it's in the United States for sure, like, major fall off in numbers, and who knows, like, I'm not an expert on it. I think there's just society's changing, there's a lot more education around it. I think all it just to me, I look back from the time I was young to like today, I just think back over all those years and there has been like no one can convince me otherwise. There has been some kind of absolute like upgrade to how much information we're able to perceive and take in and there's been some kind of like spiritual or DNA or brain upgrade that's happening. Maybe it happens in conjunction with technology. I don't know. I don't think it's that, but I feel like we have so much more awareness about how we feel. There's like more access to how we feel. And I just feel like so many people are waking up now to like, hey, I actually like most people feel like shit when they drink and they're not
Mhm.
paying attention. I'm not judging anyone, like do your thing. But like I used to drink all the time. It was like, that's what you did. Like, just drink,
Mhm.
go out, party, go to the bars, have a beer, have a drink all the time. I'm just like, when I started just sort of paying more attention to my body and becoming, having more time, making time and learning about meditation and taking care of my body more and like, hey, what? I'm not going to eat fast food anymore. I've heard it's really bad and it kind of seems gross. I'm just going to stop doing it.
Yeah.
And once we take they're toxins, right? Once you have less toxins coming in and clouding the system, clouding the brain, what we see, what we perceive, and then you become more sensitive. And it's cool to see society as a whole. There's really been a turning point where you kind of feel this momentum towards a lot of people being like, oh, that might not actually be the way I want to feel. Like it might feel good for a second or it might feel good for an evening or a couple hours, but I don't really feel good after.
Totally.
It's really good for society. And I'm glad to see that younger people of all ages, but especially younger people, they just don't even go to the bars. And I love it because there's all these like non-alcoholic options and people doing other things for fun. And like I went to a concert the other night. Like people are not drinking alcohol. Now they're probably doing other things, right? So like whatever, but
Plant medicine.
plant medicine, plant medicine, yeah. But I think there is just more um, societal appetite for more embodied and like connections and socialization where you're fully embodied and can interact in a sober way and like actually be very present and connected. And I'm really happy for that personally.
Yeah, I agree. That's cool.
Yeah. You wrote a book called The Power to Heal. What's different? There's a lot of books out there about healing. I haven't read it, you guys. I haven't checked it out. It's up to Dr. Paul to sell it and explain it to us. What's different about your book? What can people expect to get if they did choose to purchase it and read it?
Sure. The book was meant to be a patient guide.
Mm.
So I have so many different things I like to share with patients, and it's just not possible in the time that I see them to share all of those things. So the book was kind of my way of getting it kind of ideas in a organized fashion and in a way that I could hand it over to my patients and say, hey, you know what? That's in the book.
So this is like things that you've tried for you, your wife, your kids, your family, like things that were like a part of your just evolution as a person. And you said, oh, like almost like, yeah, like bookmarks for people.
Yeah, so there's a chapter on nutrition, there's a chapter on chiropractic, on exercise, on sleep. So it's kind of we chunked it up like that into different things that people could think about to increase their health. Really it's their ability to unlock their natural healing potential. That book it was written about 6 years ago, and I'm kind of chomping at the bit to do a rewrite.
Mhm.
So, because there's a few things that have come out that, oh, there's new information. It needs to go in there. But it's still a pretty good general guide. If they want a free copy and you don't mind reading it electronically, you can get it on our website. Gosh, let me remember it. Stress and pain relief.
You know what? Don't worry about it. Nobody's gonna
You'll link.
nobody's gonna write this down. I'll just link to it.
Yeah. I think it's stress and pain relief.clinic or something like
You're like,
that.
what's my business? What is the name of my business?
Right. But yeah, if you give us
Mhm.
your email, we'll send you a copy of that book. And then if you want the real copy, you got to buy it. But
Yeah. Okay,
I
cool.
always like to.
Cool. And let's see. One more thing. So myself and like people in my crew, we talk about how Nashville specifically feels like a meetup spot for people and like the natural healing and the spiritual spaces. I moved here from Southern California. A lot of my friends here are from San Francisco, Los Angeles, Atlanta, these bigger cities where they're known for like where the like kind of fringe things start and then all of a sudden they become mainstream. And moving here, I've just been surprised how many people that move here that are very into these modalities and offer them. If it's not their full time thing, they do it on the side or they're very interested in it. Um, First, have you noticed that? And two, what was the draw for you? And I'm assuming you were with your wife at the time. What was the draw for you or you and your wife to move here from Southern California to Nashville?
Yeah, I have noticed that. I think Nashville's exploding with talent and healers, and
Mhm.
it's awesome. And so our drive was we had to leave California. It wasn't safe for us anymore. We have kids, we don't vaccinate, not going to vaccinate, and we're not living that lifestyle. And it kind of became just an unsafe place for people who were doing that during COVID. And we could fight it and we could win, but we also came to the point where, well, we could also just be at a place where they appreciate our lifestyles and our values.
Mhm.
So, and we had been battling the vaccine front for 10 years prior
Mhm.
to the COVID situation. So
Mhm.
I don't, a lot of people may not know this, but chiropractors were the only health profession. Our state association came out and we were against a bill in California called SB 277. We got moms of vaccine injured kids together and we
Mm.
had a march on the Capitol when they were going to
Mm.
sign this crap into law.
Mm.
The lawmakers were hiding in their offices. They wouldn't come out. The ones that would talk to us said, this is bigger than when Martin Luther King Jr. was here at the Capitol. It spilled out more blocks.
Yep.
And they voted for it anyways.
Yep.
And then the following year, they did everything they said that they promised they wouldn't do. They passed another law, SB 276, that
Mhm.
just worsened the problem.
Oh, I
Just
was like, "Ooh, do the powers that be?" I'm like, "Riverside FM." So you guys, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this on the recording, but as he's talking about the most important thing, it cut out for a second, and I just thought, "Oh, man." I'm like, "Who's listening? Leave us alone. Free speech."
So yes, so we were fighting that battle and we were losing. To be clear, we were real close and we almost won. But they have a lot of money and they have a lot
It's
of
all big. I mean, big
power.
pharma, yeah, big pharma runs our country. It doesn't take a genius. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm so glad you said this. I was when I came into your office, I was chatting with your person that works at your front desk. She's so lovely. She's helped coordinate everything. And right away, I was like, "Oh, this place is cool." And I saw some signage on your wall, and I was like, "Oh yeah, like this is my place. I like this." And I saw a post on Instagram, and someone was basically saying, like, hey, why are people upset that RFK Jr., Robert F. Kennedy Jr., is simply saying, hey, I think we should test these vaccines to see if there could be a link to autism. Let's just test it. He's not saying they're causing it. He's not vilifying anyone. He's just saying, let's test it. We have enough things going on that are fishy, and we have been for a long time. Let's look at this correlation. And people are furious. They are furious. And I'm sitting here thinking it's so sad. The amount of propaganda and the amount of things that have had to be fed into your brain for you to become enraged when a person says, I think we should trust the science and do science experiments to see if this is safe. Why is that triggering? And the only answer is propaganda and a confusion because of big pharma companies who spend a lot of money to confuse people and to sweep things under the rug. And
Yes, science has been, unfortunately, it's been corrupted and
Mhm.
co-opted. When we say trust the science, like science is a method. It's never
Mhm.
done. Inquiry is always open. Hypothesis can be nullified or they
Mhm.
can't.
Mhm.
But many people think that they're trusting science, but they're really trusting authority.
And it does, I mean, just doesn't take a rocket scientist to look and see. If you watch any streaming service and you don't skip past the ads, if you still have cable and watch TV, the majority of ads are for pharmaceuticals. And it's actually, I never listen to them and I haven't for years. I've never listened to them. When they come on, I will mute, I'll walk away, I won't listen because I feel like it's actually programming our bodies with all, and that sounds crazy maybe to some people, but if you are listening to minutes and minutes and minutes of somebody going, do you have, and they're listing off the most insane shit. I'm like, who are these people that have one left eyeball is purple and droops sometimes on Tuesday? I'm like, what? How many people have this? This is crazy. And then they start listing the side effects. And it's like, this is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And they're programming people and making people hypochondriac and they're feeding the subconscious. Like you program your brain with words and energy and pictures. This is absolutely affecting you, making people think, oh, do I have itchy skin? Is my left eye purple and sometimes droop? I mean, I haven't read into it enough, so I don't want to speak too much on it. But the president of the United States, it looks like just accepted some money from Pfizer. I need to look into it more, but it's disappointing to me that we even have pharmaceutical company presidents on stage with the president of the United States talking about money. Like, why is that happening? That doesn't make sense. Like, that should it should be like a splash of cold water on people's faces. It's so normalized now because we hear their names because it's Pfizer presents the New Year's Eve, Pfizer and Travis
Mhm.
Kelsey, Pfizer and the NFL. It makes no sense. And I mean, people that listen know I can go on and on. I have always been very wary of vaccines. I don't have a medical background. I've taken vaccines. I took some. I regret now. Unfortunately, before a trip I took, I wish I hadn't, right? Luckily, I don't, nothing's presenting, but who knows? These things are down the line, right? We just got to cross fingers and hope I didn't inject myself with something insane. But I remember being in college and I didn't know anything about this stuff. This was not on my radar. And I worked at a grocery store. I was like a checkout girl and, I'd ring up people's groceries. And I remember I walked from my college house with roommates and I noticed there was like a giant billboard and it said, get your flu shot for free. And it was at the grocery store I worked at. And we're on a college campus. I get to the grocery store and there was a bus stop and like the bus stop had panels. It's like, get your flu shot. And I was like, really advertising this flu shot a lot. I get in the grocery store, it's at the pharmacy, it's
Mhm.
I'm listening to it was radio days back. I'm listening to the radio. It's like, get your flu shot. I'm on campus. There's like flu shot. The buses go by, flu shot. I was like, I felt like I was tripping. I was like, I was like, all of a sudden, I'm like, just the flu shot shit is everywhere. And I
Right.
go home, I say to my roommates, I'm like, have you guys noticed there's a lot of flu shots, like ads everywhere? They're like, no. I'm like, dude, they're everywhere. It's like the side of the bus. I'm like, who's paying for all these ads? And they're like, what? And they're like, what are you talking about? I was like, don't you think it's weird? They're like, well, people get the flu. I'm like, I don't get the flu. I'm like, why do we, I mean, why do we need a shot for the flu? Anyway, it's not that bad. And my mind was spinning there. One of my roommates was kind of like, she's actually a lawyer now. And she was like, that is kind of weird. Shout out. Oh, I won't, well, yeah, whatever. Shout out Mara. I won't say your last name. But she was like, yeah, that is kind of weird. Like, you're right. I think you're onto something. I've never gotten a flu shot. I never will get a flu shot. Guess who doesn't get the fucking flu? Me.
Mhm.
Guess who gets the flu? Everybody in my life who gets flu shots. I was talking to
Mhm.
someone last night. I said, well, it seems like you have the flu. She goes, I did. And I was just about to go get my flu shot, And I was like, I didn't say anything because this person is, just going to do her own thing. But it's like that with the COVID-19 vaccines. People don't want to hear this. People don't want to hear this if they've had it. And it's not a judgment, it's just an observation. No one I know that did not take it has gotten COVID repeatedly, or has gotten RSV, or gets constant flus, or all of a sudden has shingles, weight gain, depression, stage level 3, 4 turbo cancers, instant vertigo, and being put on stroke protocol, all young people. Perfectly fertile husband and wife both get shots at the same time. Within a month, they're both rendered infertile. His balls swell up. Her ovaries need surgery in the same month after they get the same shots. What could it be? A guy I dated, his thing started growing out of his butt. He had removed a tumor. I mean, literally the most insane things. I have someone I work with right now. Her husband got all the shots, stage 4, at getting treated in Los Angeles. It's horrific. And I had friends who had multiple things happen all of a sudden, and I'm like, don't take any more of these. You went into a National Guard tent and allowed National Guards people to shoot you with something experimental. And now all these things are happening, and you're telling me it's not related. It's cognitive dissonance. And what's horrifying is that these are not conspiracy theories. There are studies all over the world, full on countries. South Korea right now, red fucking alert, turbo cancers. And so it's not to scare people. It kind of is. It's like, don't just shoot shit into your arm from pharmaceutical companies. Your government does not have your best interest at heart. Pharmaceutical companies don't have your best interest at heart. And it's like so many millions of people and doctors were trying to warn people to question, and we were ostracized in public. I had Instagram send me messages and tell me I was spreading dangerous information because I would post in my stories, I have questions about this. I didn't tell people what to do. I just said, hey, doesn't this look odd? I got shadow banned. I got messages.
Yeah, anyone who questioned was silenced, which speaks to the importance of the First Amendment and the right for us to speak to each other, and also the need to decentralize our communication networks too. So that, because something like this is going to happen again. I,
It's
I do
already,
not,
yeah, yeah.
like, it's not over, but that was just the test round.
And I don't want to, I get animated about this because it really frustrates me that people's health has been compromised by organizations that certainly do not have our best interest in heart. And I do that so that people, hopefully, if you were persuaded to do it and you didn't want to do it, or you did it and you're regretting it, you can look for resources to start doing things to detox your body if it has affected you in a negative way. Not everyone was affected in a negative way, but there's a portion of the population that's dealing with things that they are unaware are pretty likely related to that choice. And we just don't, like you said, when it happens again, it's not if, it's when. They made a lot of money from that, and they took a lot of our freedoms. And again, I talk about this, we don't know who they are. I'm not going to purport to know, but there are people, organizations that do benefit from us staying compliant, quiet, not asking questions, and just doing what we're told. And it's not for our best interest, ever. And just look at history. Like, there's no time in history when we listen to our government en masse or listen to a pharmaceutical company and good things come from it. It's always bad things. So to me, I just feel like I'm banging my head against the wall sometimes. But good news, it seems like a lot of people recently, with certain things that have happened, people speaking the truth and being taken out, I think people are realizing like something's not adding up, and they're realizing like daddy government does not have your best interest at heart.
Right. Well, and not everyone's going to get it, and that's okay. We'll all have to suffer the consequences of our action or our inaction, and
Yeah.
it's reality. But as the best thing we can all do is take care of ourselves and our family,
Yeah.
and take personal responsibility for our health.
Mm-hmm.
And like that seems to be your message, like,
Yeah.
is that,
Yeah.
hey, just question things
Mm-hmm.
and take some responsibility. And if people do that, then they'll take a little more responsibility, and then they'll take a little more because it feels good to take responsibility. And yeah, it's like sometimes it doesn't always feel good, like right in the moment, because you're like, oh, I have to think about stuff I never thought about before. But
Yeah, and you have to have hard conversations, and you have to set rules for yourself and be the adult of your life.
right.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, you guys know I'm an Aries moon, I'm an Aries Venus in the 8th, Scorpio. I'm gonna go fucking hot. I'm gonna start a fire. We're gonna go there. And again, I've taken vaccines. I wish I hadn't, right? I look back, I'm like, I was like, I really want to travel. And I'm like, I don't know if that was a really good idea. So it's not that, oh, I'm perfect and no, it's just I've always been like this, very investigative. And so I just want everybody to think for themselves and have access to free speech and take their health
I
into
took
their
no
own hands.
vaccines when I traveled to South America, just
Mm.
FYI. And it's supposedly a zone where you can't travel without certain vaccines. But I just, I researched it. I looked at it. I said, I don't think that is a good risk to reward ratio for me.
No, it's
And so I just went down there, and then they said, "Where's your vaccines?" I said, "I didn't get them." And they said, "Why not?" I said, "Because I didn't want to." Uh,
Mhm.
and I think I may have signed a form or something down there. And
You might die. You're like, I'm cool with it.
I'm like, I'll take the risk.
Yeah, there's like one moment in my head. I'm like thinking of one travel vaccine office and the nurse being like 3 times, "Are you sure you want to do this?" She's like, "It's not legal in the United States. You are signing forms saying that you're doing an experiment as part of the country of France. And if anything happens, the country of France will pay your medical bills." And I was like, sat there, I was like, "This doesn't sound good." I go, "Does this sound good to you?" She's like, "I'm not allowed to say if it sounds good, but I'll read it to you again." And I was sitting there. I went in the bathroom. I was like, fuck. I was like, I don't want to take this. And then I was like, you've already bought the tickets. You're going. Like, you have things to do. And I was like, you're going to be fine. Take this thing. I was sick as a dog. I was sick, y'all. Like, I poisoned the shit out of my body. So, okay. Thank you for your time. This was so great. Is there anything else you
Super
want to, is there,
fun.
yeah, oh, yeah, fun, fun. That's like my favorite. I'm like, let's have fun.
Cool.
Yeah. So, Dr. Paul, thanks for being here. You guys, I'm going to link everything for his clinic. It's in the Nashville area. He has a book. Like he said, you can read it for free on a Kindle, an e reader, a laptop, a screen. You can buy the book. What else are we going to link to? You're going to text me the name of the book from the guru that you talked about.
Yes.
And yeah, that's it, you guys. Take care. Talk soon and peace.
Awesome. Thanks, Aubrey.
Bye. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and stay immersed in the infinite drop.